Hello friends, so this is chapter 3 drainage, and I welcome you all to this UPSC NCERT series, and this is helpful for all exam, other exam also like PCS, your state PCS, and all the government exam for GK. And all, if you are children or you are watching this video and if you have any doubt, you can ask me in suggestion in comment box. And I hope that all those aspirants of UPSC understand they just have to read all these things. So that's why I'm preparing all these videos. So if you have any comment or any suggestion, you can write down in the comment box, please. Or thank you so much for your love, and please do like, share, and subscribe. So let's start this chapter, guys. The term drainage. The chapter is drainage. The term drainage describes the river system of an area. So here is the map, this water divide map. So look at the physical map. You will notice that a small stream flowing from a different direction come together to form the main river, which ultimately drain into large water bodies such as lake or a sea or an ocean. The area drained by a single river system is called a drainage basin. So the area drained by a single river system is called a drainage basin. A closer observation on a map will indicate that many elevated areas such as mountains or an upland separated two drainage basins. Such an upland is known as the water divide. So you can understand in this way that there is one hill in the range in this way, and one this side. Here is some upliftment of or mountain. So this is the two drainage systems. One river is here, one area here. So this is the main river, and these all are the tributary systems. So this called as water divide. Drainage system in India. The drainage system of India are mainly controlled by the broad relief feature of the subcontinent. Accordingly, the Indian rivers are divided into two major groups: the Himalayan rivers and the peninsular rivers. Apart from originating from the two major geographic regions of India, the Himalayan and the peninsular rivers are different from each other in many ways. Most of the Himalayan rivers are perennial. Perennials means they run all over the year. They are not seasonal. They run all year. It means they have water throughout the year. These rivers receive water from rain as well as from melted snow from the lofty mountains. The two major Himalayan rivers are the Indus and Brahmaputra, originate from the north mountain range. Sindhu, called in Hindi, called Sindhu in the Hindi, and this is Brahmaputra, originate from the north mountains of Himalaya. They have cut through the mountains, making gorges. So when they are cutting these mountains, they are called gorges. The Himalaya river have long course from their source to sea. They are very long path, or they perform intensive erosional activity in their upper course and carry huge loads of silt and sand. In the middle and the lower course, these rivers form meanders, offshore lakes, and many other depositional features in their floodplains. They also have well-developed deltas. So this is the source of river. This area is altitude is high, or it is mountain area. We can understand like this. And here is the final. It is the catchment area, and it is the final. So they are going the some lake or some sea. So this is delta here, and these are oxbow lakes, and those are after cutting of this lake. Or after changing their routes due to silts, and these called meanders here. So they perform intensive regional activities. The upper course and carry huge loads of silt and sand. In middle and the lower course, they arrive the river form meander, Oxbow Lake, and many other depositional features in their floodplain. They also have well-developed delta. So we'll now talk about the Himalayan rivers. The major Himalayan rivers are the Indus, Ganga, and Brahmaputra. These rivers are the long and are joined by many large important tributaries. A river along with its tributaries may be called a river system. So main river with its tributaries called as river system. So we will first of all talk about the Indus river system. The river rises in the Tibet. So where it rises? It rises in the Tibet. So I will show you one map for clarifications. So friends, you can see here that this is the Tibet and this is the Indus river. So here is the Kailash range and here is the lake Mansarovar. So these there is Lake Mansarovar here is. So this Indus river is originating from here and it is going. So here is these Himalayan range are in the so much of height. So this Indus river is going from this Tibet to Jammu and Kashmir and then here from Pakistan. This is Indus river. So you understand that from where it is originate. Flowing west, it enter India and the Ladakh. It forms a picturesque gorge in this part of Ladakh. Several tributaries, the Jaskar, the Nubra, the Shyok and the Hunja joined in the Kashmir region. The Indus flow through Baltistan and Gilgit and emerge from mountains at all. The Satluj, the Beas, the Ravi, the Chenab and Jhelum join together to enter Indus near Mithankot in Pakistan. So all these rivers, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj, they all those meet here in Pakistan in Pathankot. Sorry. So this place is called as Mithankot. Here in Pakistan, they all meet here to the Indus river. Beyond this, the Indus flow southward, eventually reaching the Arabian Sea, east of the Karachi. The Indus plain has a very gentle slope with total length of 2900 km, 2900 km. The Indus is one of the longest river, but not longest river of the world. But it is one of the longest river. A little over a third of the Indus basin is located in the Ladakh. A little over a third of the Indus basin is located in Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Punjab and the rest in Pakistan. According to regulation of Indus Water Treaty, so this water treaty is with the Pakistan. Indian can use only 20% of the total water carried by the Indus river system. This water is used for irrigation in Punjab, Haryana, and the southern and the western parts of Rajasthan. The Ganga river system. The headwater of the Ganga, called the Bhagirathi, is fed by the Gangotri glacier and joined by the Alkanda at the Devraya. So this question asked so many times in the UPSC and other exams. At what place these Alkanda joined the this Bhagirathi? So at the Devraya. At Devraya in Uttarakhand, the Bhagirathi is fed by the Gangotri glacier and joined by the Alkanda at the Devraya. At Haridwar, the Ganga emerges from the mountains on the plain. The Haridwar, the Ganga emerges from the mountains on the plains. So these are the another picture. In this picture we can see clearly. This is the Ganga here. This is the Ganga river, and here is the Devraya to Alkanda and Bhagirathi rivers are meeting here in this point. and all these are tributaries of Ganga, like are the Gagra, Gandak, Kosi, and in below Son, Yamuna, Betwa, all these are tributaries of Yamuna, and finally Yamuna meet here. The northernmost point of the Ganga Delta, the river bifurcates here, the Bhagirathi Hooghly. So Bhagirathi Hooghly, it tributaries flow southward through the deltic plains to the Bay of Bengal. The main stream, sorry, so we have to from here. So it is the point of confluence of Bhagirathi and Alaknanda at Adipya. This is the point here. The Ganga is joined by the many tributaries from Himalaya. A few of them being major rivers such as Yamuna, the Gagra, the Gandak, and the Kosi. The river Yamuna rises from the Yamunotri glacier in the Himalaya. The river Yamuna rises from the Yamunotri glacier in Himalaya. Its flow parallel to the Ganga, and as a right bank tributaries meet the Ganga at Allahabad. The Ghagra, the Gandak, and Kosi rise in the Nepal Himalaya. The Ghagra and Gandak and Kosi rise in the Nepal Himalaya. They are the river which flood part of northern plain every year, causing widespread damage to life and property, whereas they enrich the soil for agriculture use. The main tributaries which come from the peninsular upland are the Chambal, Betwa, and Son. These rise from semi-arid area, have shorter course, and do not carry much water in them. This is the Namami Gange program started in 2014 by Union Government for abatement of pollution and conservation and regeneration of national river Ganga. Enlarged with the water from its right and left bank tributaries, the Ganga flow eastward till Farakka and West Bengal. So the Ganga flow eastward till Farakka and West Bengal. This is the northernmost point of the Ganga Delta. The river bifurcates here, the Bhagirathi Hooghly. So it is divided into Bhagirathi and Hooghly, flow southward through the deltic plain to the Bay of Bengal. The main stream flows southward into the Bangladesh and is joined by the Brahmaputra. Further downstream, it is known as Meghna. This mighty river with water from the Ganga and Brahmaputra flow into Bay of Bengal. So this Meghna river is made up is from two rivers, Ganga and Brahmaputra, flow into the Bay of Bengal. The delta formed by these rivers is known as the Sundarban Delta. So we know that the Sundarban Delta derives its name from Sundari tree, which grow well in the marshland. It is the world's largest and fastest growing delta. It is also home of Royal Bengal tiger. So these are some MCQ questions we ask in the exams. The length of Ganga is over 2,500 km. So we can identify the types of drainage pattern formed by the Ganga river system. Ambala is located on the water divide between the Indus and Ganga river system. Ambala is located on the water divide between the Indus and Ganga river system. So here is Ambala, and this divide to this, and there is Indus river system and this is Ganga river system. So Ambala is located on the water divide. So the water divide between the Indus and Ganga river system. The plains from Ambala to Sundarban stretch over nearly 1800 km, but fall in its slope is hardly 300 meter. In other words, there is fall of just 1 meter for every 6 km. Therefore, the river develops large meanders. The slope is not steep; it is very gentle. It very less, just 300 meter in 1800 km. That's why the river develops large meanders. Now it is a Brahmaputra river system. The Brahmaputra rises in the Tibet east of Mansarovar Lake, very close to source of the Indus and the Salwar. The Brahmaputra rise in the Tibet east of Mansarovar Lake. So if we are talking about the river system, let me tell you guys that Nile is the longest river and the Amazon is the largest river. And India is Brahmaputra is largest river. The Brahmaputra river system, the Brahmaputra rise in the Tibet east of Mansarovar Lake very closely to the source of Indus and the Satluj. So in the Mansarovar west is Indus river originate and the east Brahmaputra originate. It is slightly longer than the Indus and most of its course lies outside and it flows eastward parallel to the Himalayas. On the reaching the Namcha Barwa 7,757 meter, it takes U-turn and enter in India from Arunachal Pradesh, Roy George. Here it is called Dihang and it is joined by the Dihang, the Lohit and many other tributaries to form Brahmaputra in Assam. Brahmaputra is known as Shangpo in Tibet and Jammu and Jamuna in Bangladesh. So Brahmaputra known as Jamuna in Bangladesh, in Shangpo in Tibet. In Tibet the river carried a smaller volume of water and less silt as it is cold and dry area. In India it passed through a region of high rainfall. Here the river carry a large volume of water and considerable amount of silt. The Brahmaputra has a braided channel and in its entire length in Assam and form many riverine islands. Do you remember the name of world largest riverine island formed by the Brahmaputra? It is Majuli Island. Every year during the rainy season, the rain overflows its bank, causing widespread devastation due to the. Every year during the rainy season, the river overflows its bank, causing widespread devastation due to flood in Assam and Bangladesh. Devastation due to flood in Assam and Bangladesh. Unlike other North Indian rivers, unlike the other North Indian rivers, the Brahmaputra is marked by huge deposit of silt on its bed, causing the river bed to rise. The river also shifts its channel frequently. The peninsular rivers. The main water divide in peninsular India is formed by the Western Ghat, which runs from north to south close to western coast. Most of the major rivers of the peninsula, such as the Mahanadi, the Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, flow eastward and drain into the Bay of Bengal. These rivers make deltas at their mouth. There are numerous small streams flowing west to the Western Ghats. The Narmada and Tapi are the only long river which flow west and make estuaries. The drainage basin of the peninsular river are the comparatively smaller in size. The Narmada basin. The Narmada rises in Amarkantak hills in Madhya Pradesh. So we can see in this picture. You can pause this video and see in this picture. So Narmada is originating from Amarkantak here, and this is Tapti river, and this is all peninsula. It flows toward the west and in a rift valley formed due to faulting on its way to sea. The Narmada creates many picturesque locations. The Marble Rocks near Jabalpur, where the Narmada flows through a deep gorge, and the Dhuandhar Falls, where the river plunges over steep rocks, are some of notable ones. So, the Narmada River Conservation Mission has been undertaken by the government of Madhya Pradesh by Namami Devi Narmade. It is named Namami Devi. All tributaries of the Narmada are very short and most of them join in the main stream at right angle. The Narmada basin covers parts of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. The Tapi basin. The Tapi rises in the Satpura range in the Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. It flows in a rift valley parallel to the Narmada, but it is much shorter in the length. Its basin covers parts of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. The coastal plain between Western Ghat and the urban sea are very narrow. Hence, the coastal rivers are short. The coastal plain between Western Ghats and the urban sea are very narrow. Hence, the coastal rivers are very short. The main west flowing river are the Sabarmati, Mahi, Bharatpuzha and Periyar. And now we will talk about the east flowing rivers like Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. Godavari is the largest peninsular river. It rises from the slope of Western Ghat in the Nasik district of Maharashtra. Its length is about 1500 km. It drains into the Bay of Bengal. Its drainage basin is also the largest among the peninsular river. The basin covers parts of the Maharashtra. About 50% of basin area lies in the Maharashtra. Maharashtra to Madhya Pradesh, then Odisha, and then finally Andhra Pradesh. The Godavari is joined by the number of tributaries such as the Purna, the Varda, Pranita, the Manjra, the Venganga and the Penganga. The last three tributaries are very large. The Pranita, the Manjra, Venganga and Penganga. Because of its length and the area it covers, it is also known as the Dakshin Ganga. Second one is the Mahanadi basin. The Mahanadi rises in the highland of Chhattisgarh. It flows through Odisha to reach the Bay of Bengal. The length of the river is about 860 km. Its drainage basin is shared by the Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Odisha. The Krishna basin. Rising from the spring near the Mahabaleshwar, the Krishna flow for about 1400 km and reaches the Bay of Bengal. The Tungabhadra, Koyna, Ghatprabha, the Musi and Bhima are some of the tributaries. Its drainage basin is shared by the Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. The Kaveri basin. The Kaveri rises in the Brahmagiri range of the Western Ghat and is reached the Bay of Bengal in its south. Cuddalore in Tamil Nadu. The total length of the river is about 760 km. Its main tributaries are Amravati, Bhavani, Hemavati, Kamini. It is basin drains parts of Karnataka. Its basin drains parts of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The river Kaveri is the second biggest waterfall in India, known as the Shiva Samudram Falls. The hydroelectric power generated from the fall is supplied to Mysore, Bangalore and Kolar Goldfield. So these are rivers. It is the Mahanadi. This is the Mahanadi. So it's come from the Chhattisgarh to Odisha, and this is Godavari. So it is Godavari coming from the Maharashtra, then Madhya Pradesh, some of the parts of Madhya Pradesh, and Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. This is Krishna river, this is Kaveri river. Beside these major rivers, there are some smaller rivers flowing toward the east. The Damodar, the Brahmani, the Baitarani, and the Subarnareka are some of the notable examples located in them in your atlas. So you can see in this map. 71% of the world's surface is covered with the water, but 97% of water is saltwater. Only 3% water is as freshwater. That is 2.7% of water is freshwater. Now we will talk about the lakes. You may be familiar with the Valley of Kashmir and the famous Dal Lake, the houseboat and the Shikara. Shikara is these boats of Kashmir called as Shikara, which attract. This is not the Shikara. This is the Loktak Lake. So which attract thousands of tourists every year. Similarly, you may have visited some other tourist spot near lake and enjoy boating, swimming and other water games. Imagine that if Srinagar, Nainital and other tourist places did not have a lake, would they have been attractive as they are today? Have you ever tried to know the importance of lake in making place attractive to tourists? Apart from attraction to tourists, lakes are also useful for human beings in many ways. Lakes of large extent are called seas, like the Caspian, the Dead and Aral. So all these are the lakes, but they are large extent. That's why they are called as seas. Like Dead Sea, Aral Sea, and captain it, etc. India has many lakes. These differ from each other in size and other characteristics. Most lakes are permanent. Some contain water only during the rainy season, like the lake in the basin of inland drainage of semi-arid regions. There are some lakes which are the result of the action of glacier and ice sheets, while others have been formed by the wind river action and human activities. The meandering river across a floodplain form cutoff that later develop into oxbow lakes, splits and war from lagoons in the coastal areas. For example, Chilka Lake, the Pulicat Lake and Kolaru Lake. Lakes in the regions of inland drainage are sometimes seasonal. For example, Samba Lake in Rajasthan, which is a salt water lake. Its water is used for producing salt. Most of the freshwater lakes are in the Himalayan region. They are of glacial origin. In other words, they formed when glacier dug out a basin which was later filled with snow melt. The Wular Lake in Jammu and Kashmir, in contrast, in the result of tectonic activity. It is largest freshwater lake in India. The Dal Lake, Wular Lake is the largest in freshwater lake. The Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak and Brahmapani are and Barapani are some of the other important freshwater lakes. Apart from the natural lakes, the damming of the river from generation of hydro power has also led to formation of lakes such as Guru Gobind Sagar, that is generating electricity. Bhagara Nagal project also called as this Gobind Sagar. Bhagara Nagal project is located at this Guru Gobind Sagar. Lakes are of great value to human beings. A lake helps to regulate the flow of river during heavy rains. It prevents flood and during the dry season. It helps to maintain an even flow of water. Lakes can also be used for developing hydropower. They moderate the climate of surrounding, maintain the aquatic ecosystem, enhance natural beauty, and help develop tourist and provide recreation. Role of rivers in the economy. So, what is the role of economy? What is the role of rivers in the economy? Rivers have been of fundamental importance throughout the human history. Water from river is the basic natural resource essential for various human activities. Therefore, riverbanks have attracted shelter from ancient times. These settlements have now become big cities. Make a list of in your state which are located in the bank of river. There are so many cities, you know. Using river for irrigation, navigation, hydropower irrigation is special significance, particularly to a country like India where agriculture is major source of livelihood of the majority of its population. River pollution. The growing domestic, municipal, industrial and agriculture demand for water from river may naturally affect the quality of water. As a result, more and more water is being drained out to the river and reducing their volume. On the other hand, a heavy load of untreated sewage and industrial effluents are emitted into the river. This affects not only the quality of water but also the self-cleansing capacity of the river. For example, given the adequate stream flow in the Ganga, water is able to dilute and assimilate pollution load within 20 km of large cities. But the increase in urbanization and the industrialization do not allow it to happen, and the pollution lead to many rivers has been rising. Concern about rising pollution in our rivers lead to launching of various actions like Namami Gange and these others also. So this chapter is complete, and friends, I hope you are liking the video. If you have any suggestion, please comment in the comment box, and thank you so much for watching this video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Before that, please complete this. Which of the following Wular Lake in Jammu and Kashmir? The river Narmada has its source as Amarkantak. Which of the following lake is in salt water lake is Samar Lake? Which of the following is the largest river of the peninsular India is Krishna, Kaveri, Godavari? It is the Godavari. Which of the among the following river flow through Rift Valley is Rift Valley? That is Tapi. So thank you very much, friends, watching this video. Please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye bye.